Although it's 5:55 exactly, so that's pretty cool. I'm really going live because I was just driving, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get distracted by these cars that are driving by me. I'm parked right here next to the ocean, and it's gorgeous. Here, I will show you. Look, check this shit out. Can you look? Oh, it's actually low tide, and there's a shit ton of seaweed, and so it smells seaweedy, but doesn't matter, it's still gorgeous. Anyhow, here's the sitch. I was just driving and I was thinking about this, so when I stopped the car, I was like, I just need to go live and like record this thought. So but here's the thing. I know you've heard me say this a million times, and probably you've heard a lot of other people say this too, but the things that we experience are around us, the things we observe, the things that we go through, the good times, the bad times, all of those things. The things that are happening outside of us are a result of what's going on inside of us. And we like to get to this place as humans. I do it too myself. Like, I look around and be like, oh, you know, I don't have enough money, and it's because so-and-so borrowed money from me and never paid me back. Or, I mean, we can get even bigger than that, right? Like, kids today are lazy because their parents don't discipline them enough, or like whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, insert scenario of your choice here. It doesn't matter. But we like to say, like, this is happening and I don't like it because of something that somebody else is doing, whether it's a single person or an entire economy or an entire system or whatever. But we like to put the blame outside. We want to say it's his fault, it's her fault, it's capitalism's fault, it's Republicans' fault, it's Democrats' fault, it's Gen X parenting fault, it's, you know, the millennials' fault. Like, we don't know, it's Biden's fault, it's Trump's fault, I don't know, whatever. Like, we want to put the blame out there on someone else. And everything we experience, when we feel like we've been wronged, when we feel like something isn't fair, when we feel like it's not right, it's bad, it shouldn't happen that way, it's not okay, it starts inside of us. Everything we experience outside begins as thoughts and feelings that we're having on the inside. And a thought gains momentum and becomes an emotional response, and an emotion gains momentum and becomes a manifestation out there in the real world. And so while it may be very familiar and even a lot of times convenient, and it even may feel good in the moment to say, it's not my fault that this happened, it's his fault, he cheated on me, he was a jerk to me, my kids are so disrespectful to me, the Democrat agenda is ruining our country, the Republican agenda is ruining our country. Like, it's very easy to put the blame out there, and it's very familiar, and that's what we do. It's not my fault I'm in a bad mood because I came home and my house was disaster and nobody cleaned up after themselves, and these kids should pick up after themselves, and these people should be doing this, and my neighbors shouldn't play their music so loud, and whatever. Like, you get the picture, right? We want to put it out there, and it's familiar, and it even feels good to say that and let that release out. But the problem with that is, number one, I mean, we can go back and forth about who's right and who's wrong. I don't even want to get into that debate right now, because I could literally argue why there's no such thing as right and wrong, but that's not what this is about. What I want to say to you is, it doesn't matter who's wrong. It doesn't matter what's not fair. It doesn't matter who is unjust. It doesn't matter who did the wrong thing, or who said the wrong thing, or who's pushing the wrong agenda, or who's lying, or who's cheating, or who's stealing. None of it matters, because the change doesn't happen with them. The change doesn't happen outside of us. The change happens first inside of us. And when we change what's going on inside, then we start to see the changes happening outside of us and around us. And showing people that they're wrong and blaming people and making a case for why it's not okay and why it has to change is a waste of energy, because it will never be the thing that changes the people. It will never be the thing that changes the system. It will never be the thing that changes anything that's happening outside of us, because we have to change what's going on inside of us first. And I know how counterintuitive this feels. You know, it feels like, you know, like, let's take something very extreme, like gun control. Like, we need to get assault rifles off the street so that people aren't killing each other. And while personally I agree, like, I have no need for assault rifles, and I know that, like, killing each other and violence and gun violence, in my personal opinion, is a horrible situation. What I know is that I'm in this place of observing all of these horrible things because I'm inside feeling horrible. And when I can change how I'm feeling inside, I will start to observe things differently. I will start to feel better from the inside out. And when I feel good, when I feel better from the inside out, then two things happen. Number one, I can get strong and have a strong foundation in my own happiness, so that when shit comes down the line, it doesn't shake me so much. And number two, when I feel good, I'm inspired to action that will be very powerful in making the changes that I want to see outside of me. This is why alignment matters. This is why happiness from the inside out matters, because when we feel good inside, our core, our inner happiness is solid and foundational. The stuff outside of us doesn't shake us. It doesn't take us from our place of happiness. And when we're solidly in that place of feeling good, then we're inspired to the actions that are going to make a difference. Because as long as we're just here railing against what we don't want, as long as we're here talking about all the things that are wrong with everything, nothing changes. And in fact, what you focus on gets bigger. So what gets bigger when we're sitting here railing against all the wrong choices that everybody's made, and all the ways that Democrats are fucking up the economy, and all the ways that Republicans are ruining everything, and like whatever. And like, as long as we're railing against what we don't want, we're making it bigger. And when we can stop doing that, when we can turn it inward and go, I'm sitting here observing all of this bullshit because inside of me, I have a vibration going on that is a match to this. So when we can tend to that and bring that happiness from the inside out, then we get rock solid in our happiness. And this is what people will call this spiritual bypassing. And to that I say, fuck off, because I'm not here for ignoring my feelings. Like, I have emotional highs and lows just like everybody else, and I feel that shit. I don't often spew it all over the internet, but sometimes I do. But it's always for a purpose, but I digress. My point is, I frequently and consistently turn towards feeling good on purpose. And it is not spiritual bypassing. It is locking myself foundationally into a place of feeling good, so that from that place I can get inspired to make choices and take action that will actually affect change. Even if I'm only changing the vibe of my own household, even if I'm only affecting my one child in my out of 4, you know, even if only one person or my cat is affected by my happiness, that is purposeful. That is purposeful change. Even if only the energy of my plants in my living room is is improved, it's still on purpose and it still matters. And from that place of foundational happiness, we can and we are inspired to take the steps that bring about the change on the big levels, right? Will things get better as we're just railing against everything we don't like and everything we disapprove of? Sure, eventually that will happen, but we'll all end up exhausted and it will take forever. But when we're in alignment, we make change from the inside out, and it matters, and it has an effect. And like they say, I think it's Lao Tzu says or said, it's a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And when that first step is foundationally securing our own happiness, it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing. I look towards positivity because it keeps me in that foundational place. And I want to say this too, right? And I noticed this on Mother's Day because we were in a crowded restaurant in a crowded little town in a village called Mystic in Connecticut. And some of you are familiar with Mystic. But anyway, we were in this crowded restaurant and my boys were like annoyed with each other after a while, and a lot of things were going on, but they were like picking on each other and being annoying to each other. And my oldest son said, he's like, I think we just have because at one point I was like, next year we're just staying home. Like, I'm not even coming to the restaurant in the future with you guys. This is ridiculous. You're annoying me. And yes, and I was letting their behavior rock my foundational happiness. I was doing it. I was allowing it to happen. And I recognized that in myself. But nonetheless, I was like, you guys are annoying me. Next year, we're just going to stay home. And my oldest son said, I think we all just have different expectations of each other. And my thought on reflecting on what he said was, we shouldn't be having expectations of each other. That's where we're going wrong, is we're expecting each other to behave in a certain way so that we can feel better. And it's not. We need to be rock solid in our own happiness so that however they're behaving doesn't bother us. Because I went for a good hour and a half out of a 2-hour meal completely unfazed by their behavior. And it was only like the last 30 minutes where I started getting annoyed at them constantly telling each other how to behave differently. And I was like, yeah, like they were one expected this from the other one, and that one expected this from that one, and they were constantly telling each other, you don't do that, don't sit like that, don't talk like that, don't do this, put your phone away, do that, do this. And they were constantly critiquing and criticizing and correcting each other. And you know, my son said, we have different expectations. And that, when we left the restaurant, we were walking back to the car, I was reflecting on that. And I was like, yeah, but creating our own happiness and creating our own reality doesn't include having expectations of other people in order that we feel good. Because that's what was happening. If you're not sitting a certain way, if you're not talking a certain way, then I can't be happy in this restaurant experience. And it's like, no, I can be happy no matter what you're doing. And if I can't be happy no matter what you're doing, I can leave, or I can make a choice, or I can do what I need to do. But the happiness starts with me. And I really hope that this is making some kind of sense, because for me, the goal is always to get to that place where I can be like, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how you're acting. I don't care how you're behaving. I'm still going to be good with myself. I'm still going to feel happy. I'm still going to be okay with everything. Your weird, crappy, bad, malicious, ridiculous, whatever kind of behavior is not going to rock me. It's not gonna. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be joyful no matter what. And I'm going to know that I always have the power to make choices to change my circumstances, like leave you home or whatever it is. I don't know. And you know, there's a lot of nuances to this. I'm not going to pretend like there's not. And above all else, it takes a lot of consistent practice, right, to get to that place. But this is my point. Like, all the stuff happening outside of us, is just there showing us what was already going on inside of us. If you find that things keep happening that put you in a vulnerable position over and over again, look inside and ask yourself where you've been feeling vulnerable lately. And if things are happening outside of you that are making you feel angry all the time, and she did this and it made me angry, and she did that and it made me angry, ask yourself, like, what's going on inside that's bringing on these angry feelings. It always starts within, and the happiness comes from the inside out. And when we have that foundational happiness, then we are not rocked by other people's behavior, no matter how egregious or outrageous it is. And when we're in that foundational happiness, we are inspired to make choices that actually make change on a personal level, on a local level, on a community level, on a state level, on a national level, on a global level. This is where it starts. And that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to go back and read the comments because I'm going to hop off of this live stream. I will read the comments and I will comment on all of them, but I want to take my time right now while I'm out by myself to enjoy the ocean. And thank you for those of you who watched. I love you guys, and I will check in with the comments. Thank you. Bye.